All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Stone. Shalom to the elect, pushing this word in truth and in sincerity, with hope of receiving mercy of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father. Yahweh Shai is the name of His only begotten Son. You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Israelites, according to the prophecies that are written in the scriptures. I want to make it known that the RFID microchip is a charagma written about in Revelation 13, verse 16 on down. The miracle drug is the precursor to the charagma. Yahweh Shai, whom the world ignorantly called Jesus, is about to make his return upon the earth to deliver his elect and to pour out judgment, as it is written. So, we see a small news clip where stir some thought to the mind, we bring some precept to the mind, and we just go into it here, because these are the times that we're in which this is what's being reported on every day, yo. So Esau pushed this narrative on the news media outlets here, because he's the one who is engineering this food shortage, yo. So this is Ezekiel 3, verse 17. Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore hear the word at my mouth, and give them warning from me. And this is what we are doing. We are declaring unto you, so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the words that Yahweh Hashem Shai have put within our minds to declare in your ears, yo. As it is written in Isaiah 58, verse 1, so we're supposed to cry aloud, spirit not, lift up our voice like a trumpet, and show the Lord's people their transgression, and the house of Jacob their sins. Because to the amount of things that happen to us, and we come up in this time in which we don't even know who we are, we're clueless, yo, until the Lord have opened the minds of our elders by them hear the word being preached, and also stirring up our mind by we also hear the word being preached, as it is written in Corinthians, yo. I have believed, therefore have I spoken. And this is what's being manifested right now, yo. Because the Lord said the words where He might give us, yo, is faithful and true. And this is one of the prophecies, yo. So this is 2 Ezra 15. I'm going to start at verse 1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, say the Lord to the Lord. Give us this prophecy. And one of the prophecies is that He might bring a famine upon the land, yo. Jumping straight to the point, verse 5. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction, yo. And this is what the Lord is about to bring upon the earth in dramatic style, yo. So let's jump into these clips.
Our cover story tonight is the world's most pressing concern right now, the global food crisis. There's a serious shortage of food. Everyone is feeling the pinch. No matter which part of the world you're in, you're paying more at supermarkets. For some people, these price hikes and shortages can be life-threatening. More than 200 million people the world over could starve in the coming months if supplies are not restored. 200 million. And this may just be the beginning. The United Nations said...
Is it? Over 200 million. Okay. Let's continue.
If the world does not act immediately, these shortages will continue for decades. The scale of the problem is immense, and no country can fix it alone. So what's causing these shortages? As the world remains caught in multiple wars, our food supply is being weaponized. Is someone holding the world hostage by hoarding grains? The United States is pointing fingers at Russia. The Americans are blaming Vladimir Putin for the shortages. They say the Russian invasion of Ukraine has disrupted food supply chains, and now Russia wants to starve the world to win the war. Listen to what the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said.
The consequences of these actions have been devastating. The food supply for millions of Ukrainians and millions more around the world has quite literally been held hostage by the Russian military. The Russian government seems to believe that using food as a weapon will help accomplish what its invasion is not.
I said using food as a weapon in the time of war, yo. That's one of the most strategic moves we can make, by seizing your enemy's supply of food, yo. That are gonna make them even start war amongst each other. But this was the narrative from even before Russia invaded Ukraine, yo. From all these military drills at the border of Russia was leading up to something, yo. And this is what it has lead up to. But on the topic of food being weaponized, he is who is weaponizing these things, yo. Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, not Vladimir Putin, yo. He's the one doing these things. As is written in Ezekiel, I wanna say 5 verse 16. When I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine, which shall be for their destruction, and which I will send to destroy you, and will increase the famine upon you, and will break your staff of bread. So will I send upon you famine and evil beasts, and they shall bereave thee, and pestilence and blood shall pass through thee, and I will bring the sword upon thee. I, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, have spoken it. And these things the Lord have declared aforetime, yo. And now we're in the time in which these things are coming to pass on a rapid rate, yo.
To break the spirit of the Ukrainian people.
Now that's a big charge. Antony Blinken made that statement at a special session of the United Nations Security Council, the UNSC. They were discussing the global food shortages. America's charge is quite clear. They say there's enough food in the world, but it's not those who need it because Russia will not allow it. Does this case hold water? Is Russia indeed using food as a weapon? Who is hoarding the world's food? On Gravitas tonight, that's what we'll discuss. We'll start with examining America's allegations. They say the Russian military is holding the world's food supply. How? By blocking food consignments at ports. That's America's accusation. Russian forces have blockaded Ukrainian shipping ports, and these are not empty ports. About 28 million tons of grain is stuck there in Ukraine. And that's enough to feed millions of people around the world. Ukraine grows enough food to feed 400 million people every year. With Russia, it supplies 30% of the world's wheat. And now this stock has vanished from the global markets. Reports say 50 million people around the world are waiting for supplies. If the exports do not resume, they will all starve. The United States is demanding that Russia lift the blockade. They're not alone in making this demand. The G7 too is blaming Russia. They say Russia's actions have raised the risk of a hunger crisis. So what is Moscow's response? Well, they're hitting back at the West. Russia is blaming Western sanctions for disrupting food supplies.
So right now we see it take place. The blame game, yo. The demonization of your opponent. As when niggas would have said in the world, you're up. You see me? But we're into the time in which the Lord have foretold of these times, yo. Because in the time of war, using the food in ways in which people would have call it, what do you say? Against human rights, you know? But them not understand what is war, yo. So I hope this was edifying. With that, I want to say Kalalal, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Aka Kodesh. Shalom.